Have you ever felt as though you were navigating a treacherous landscape of manipulation, exploitation, and the relentless draining of your emotional reserves? Perhaps you found yourself questioning the very fabric of reality, bewildered by how someone could inflict such profound pain while simultaneously convincing you that you are the source of the problem. If you have ever been entangled in a relationship, be it romantic, familial, or even a seemingly innocent friendship, where the scales are perpetually tipped in favor of the other person, where their needs and demands eclipse your own, where their drama becomes your inescapable burden, or where each day feels like an exhausting battle for self-preservation, then this exploration is unequivocally for you. It is time to liberate yourself from the insidious clutches of emotional abuse and manipulation, to sever the cords that bind you to toxicity, and to reclaim the sovereignty of your own emotional well-being. Imagine a life free from the constant barrage of negativity, the relentless criticism, and the insidious attempts to control your thoughts and actions. This isn't a utopian fantasy, it's an attainable reality, one that can be forged through the application of time-tested principles and an unwavering commitment to self-respect. This journey is not about transforming the toxic individuals in your life, it's about empowering you with the knowledge and tools to protect yourself, to shield your spirit from their corrosive influence, and to cultivate a life of peace and fulfillment. The relationships we forge, whether by choice or by circumstance, can be both a source of profound joy and a crucible of intense suffering. In today's hyper-connected world, where genuine connection often takes a backseat to superficial interactions and fleeting validation, the potential for toxic dynamics to flourish is ever present. We live in a society that often implicitly encourages manipulation as a means to an end, where individuals are subtly conditioned to prioritize their own desires above the well-being of others. Toxic individuals, often masters of disguise, will systematically drain you dry, leaving you feeling utterly exhausted, powerless, and plagued by doubts about your own self-worth. They are the emotional vampires of our modern age, preying on empathy and vulnerability, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. But here's the crucial truth: they do not possess ultimate control over you. You have the inherent power to rise above their insidious tactics, to reclaim your emotional autonomy, and to construct a life of resilience and authenticity. That's what the Stoics understood with such profound clarity: control what you can, and relinquish the rest. This exploration is not about passively accepting abuse or turning a blind eye to injustice, it's about taking bold, decisive action to safeguard your well-being, to reclaim your inner peace, and to become emotionally bulletproof, impervious to the darts of manipulation and the barbs of negativity. Consider the subtle ways in which toxicity can manifest: the constant belittling disguised as constructive criticism, the insidious gaslighting that makes you question your own sanity, the relentless demands that leave you feeling perpetually drained and depleted. These are not isolated incidents, they are deliberate patterns of behavior designed to erode your self-esteem and maintain control. It's time to recognize these patterns, to name them for what they are, and to arm yourself with the strategies necessary to dismantle them. This exploration unveils a series of powerful strategies, deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, that will equip you to navigate the treacherous terrain of toxic relationships with the strength and wisdom of a seasoned warrior. These are not mere platitudes or fleeting self-help tips, they are transformative principles that can fundamentally alter the way you perceive and interact with the world, allowing you to cultivate inner peace and resilience in the face of adversity. First, let's address the cornerstone of any effective defense against toxicity: identifying toxic behavior. This may seem self-evident, but it is often the most challenging step, as toxic individuals are adept at masking their true intentions and manipulating perceptions. I urge you to engage in a period of deep introspection, to meticulously examine your past and present relationships, and to honestly assess the emotional impact they have on your well-being. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone, be it a friend, a partner, or a family member, consistently makes you feel as though nothing you do is ever quite good enough? Where their expectations are perpetually out of reach, and where their criticisms, however subtly veiled, chip away at your sense of self-worth? Do they constantly question your decisions, casting doubt on your judgment and undermining your confidence? And perhaps most tellingly, do they consistently portray themselves as the victim, skillfully deflecting blame and positioning you as the perpetrator, even when you have done nothing wrong? Do you find yourself constantly apologizing, even for things that are not your fault, desperately seeking to appease them and restore a semblance of harmony? If these scenarios resonate with you, you are likely experiencing the effects of manipulation, the hallmark of toxic behavior. Toxic people are akin to emotional parasites, subtly draining your life force, leaving you feeling depleted, exhausted, and questioning your own sanity. They are masters of the subtle jab, the seemingly innocuous comments that undermine your confidence and sow seeds of doubt in your mind. They may dismiss your concerns with phrases like, "Oh, I was just joking," or, "Why are you so sensitive?" But do not be deceived by their words. This is emotional manipulation at its finest, a deliberate attempt to diminish your feelings and maintain control. Consider the insidious tactic of gaslighting, where toxic individuals systematically distort reality to make you question your own memory, perception, and sanity. They may deny events that occurred, rewrite history to suit their narrative, or subtly undermine your confidence in your own judgment, leaving you feeling disoriented, confused, and increasingly dependent on them for validation. Recognize that this is a deliberate form of emotional abuse, designed to erode your sense of self and maintain their dominance over you. Toxic people often excel at playing the victim, skillfully twisting every situation to portray themselves as the wronged party, thereby eliciting sympathy and deflecting blame. How many times have you heard phrases like, "I can't believe you would do this to me," or, "After everything I've done for you, you treat me like this?" This is classic manipulation, designed to induce guilt, undermine your instincts, and lower your defenses, making you more susceptible to their control. The first step in breaking free from this cycle is to recognize these behaviors for what they are, deliberate attempts to manipulate and control you. This is not simply a matter of having a bad day or experiencing a miscommunication, it is a calculated and persistent effort to erode your self-worth and maintain their dominance over you. Once you see through the mask they wear, once you recognize the patterns of manipulation and the underlying motives driving their behavior, you can begin to take the necessary steps to protect yourself and reclaim your emotional autonomy. A crucial rule to remember: if you find yourself constantly justifying someone's behavior to others, or even to yourself, that is a significant red flag. Healthy relationships do not require constant explanation or rationalization of mistreatment. Toxic relationships thrive on it. Trust your instincts, and recognize that if something feels wrong, it likely is. Following the identification of toxic behavior, the next critical step is to understand that it's not personal. This may seem counterintuitive, especially when you are the direct target of their negativity, but it is a fundamental truth that can liberate you from the burden of self-blame and guilt. Toxic people's behavior is fundamentally about them, their own internal struggles, their own insecurities, and their own inability to take responsibility for their actions. It is rarely, if ever, truly about you. Reflect on how many times you have taken their words to heart, internalizing their criticisms and questioning your own worth. They skillfully make you feel as though everything is your fault, as though you are the source of all the problems in the relationship. But the reality is that their toxic behavior is a reflection of their own inner turmoil, a manifestation of their own unmet needs and unresolved conflicts. Have you ever noticed how a toxic person will often lash out at you when they are feeling insecure, stressed, or otherwise emotionally vulnerable? Perhaps they had a difficult day at work, or they are dissatisfied with some aspect of their own life. Instead of addressing these issues directly, instead of taking responsibility for their own emotions, they project their negativity onto you, making you the convenient scapegoat for their internal struggles. Suddenly, you become the target of their anger, their frustration, and their relentless criticism. They may twist situations to make it seem as though you are the one causing the problems, but in reality, they are simply looking for someone to blame, someone to deflect their own feelings of inadequacy onto. This is where Stoicism offers a profound insight: we do not control what others do, only how we respond. Toxic people seek to provoke a reaction, to trigger your emotions, because that is how they maintain control. They thrive on the drama, the conflict, and the feeling of power that comes from manipulating your emotions. But once you understand that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, once you recognize that it stems from their own internal struggles, you can rise above their tactics and refuse to be drawn into their emotional web. You can relinquish the guilt, the self-doubt, and the overwhelming need to fix them, to make them happy, or to earn their approval. Because here's the difficult truth: you cannot fix them. You can only protect yourself. When they attempt to drag you into their emotional mess, when they try to provoke a reaction, remind yourself, it's not about me. Repeat this mantra silently, as a shield against their negativity, a reminder that their words and actions are a reflection of their own internal struggles, not a judgment of your character. You are not their therapist, their emotional punching bag, or their scapegoat. Their issues are their responsibility, not yours. Armed with the understanding that toxic behavior is not personal, the next crucial step is to set clear boundaries. These boundaries are not merely vague suggestions or wishy-washy lines in the sand, they are firm, non-negotiable rules that protect your peace of mind, your emotional well-being, and your fundamental sense of self-worth. They are the fortifications that safeguard your spirit from the corrosive effects of toxicity. Toxic people inherently despise boundaries, because boundaries limit their power over you. They thrive on exploiting vulnerabilities, on pushing limits, and on eroding your sense of self-control. Boundaries represent an obstacle to their manipulative tactics, a barrier that prevents them from gaining access to your emotions and controlling your actions. Let me reveal a crucial secret: the reason toxic people constantly push your limits is that they are testing you, probing for weaknesses, and assessing how much they can get away with. It may begin with seemingly innocuous requests or behaviors, such as constantly texting or calling you at all hours, interrupting your work, or demanding your attention when you desperately need space. But these small incursions are merely the prelude to more significant transgressions. Over time, the demands escalate, the expectations become more unreasonable, and before you know it, you are sacrificing your time, your energy, and your mental health simply to keep them happy, to avoid conflict, or to earn their fleeting approval. But here's the fundamental truth: you do not owe anyone your energy. Your time, your emotional well-being, and your mental health are precious resources, and you have every right to protect them, to allocate them as you see fit, and to refuse to allow them to be exploited by others. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it is self-preservation. It is an act of profound self-respect, a declaration that you value your own well-being and will not allow others to compromise it. You must be able to say no, without guilt, without lengthy explanations, and without fear of retaliation. This may seem daunting, especially if you have a history of people-pleasing or fear of conflict, but it is an essential skill for anyone seeking to break free from the cycle of toxicity. A simple but incredibly powerful boundary to implement is to stop explaining yourself. Toxic people love to drag you into endless explanations, to bombard you with questions designed to make you justify your decisions, defend your actions, and ultimately succumb to their demands. Why don't you want to do this? They will ask. How come you're acting this way? Don't you care about me? They will skillfully employ guilt, manipulation, and even anger to force you to justify your boundaries, to defend your right to say no. But here's the key: you do not need to justify your boundaries to anyone. Your boundaries are your own, and you have every right to enforce them without providing elaborate explanations or seeking approval. The next time someone attempts to cross a line, simply state, "This is what I need," or "I'm not available for that," and end the conversation. Resist the urge to engage in further debate or justification. The more consistently you stand firm in your boundaries, the more clearly they will realize that they cannot manipulate you, that their tactics are ineffective, and that they will either need to adjust their behavior or move on to someone else who will tolerate their nonsense. Having established clear boundaries, the next crucial step is to master the art of non-reaction. This is where you begin to reclaim significant control over your own emotional responses and to dismantle the power dynamic that allows toxic individuals to manipulate you. Toxic people thrive on your reactions, they actively seek to push your buttons, to provoke a rise out of you, because they feed on the drama and the feeling of control that comes from eliciting an emotional response. Every time you react, whether with anger, frustration, sadness, or even defensiveness, you are unwittingly giving them exactly what they want: power over your emotions. You are allowing them to dictate your mood, to control your actions, and to reinforce their belief that they have the ability to manipulate you. But here's the empowering truth: you have the power to stop them dead in their tracks. You have the ability to disrupt this cycle of reactivity and to reclaim your emotional autonomy. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control other people's actions, we can control how we respond to them. This is the essence of the art of non-reaction: to consciously choose to respond with equanimity, with detachment, and with an unwavering sense of inner peace, regardless of the provocations you face. Imagine this scenario: you are engaged in a heated argument with a toxic person. They are hurling accusations, insults, and blame your way, actively attempting to trigger an emotional reaction. What if, instead of engaging in the argument, instead of defending yourself or retaliating in kind, you remained completely calm? What if you simply did not react at all? This may sound counterintuitive, even impossible, but I guarantee that it is one of the most powerful moves you can make when dealing with toxic individuals. When you cease reacting to their nonsense, you strip them of their power. They cannot control you if you refuse to play their game, if you deny them the emotional fuel they crave. I understand that this is incredibly difficult, especially when they are pushing every button, when they are attacking your character, or when they are threatening your well-being. But non-reaction is akin to building an emotional shield around yourself, a protective barrier that deflects their negativity and prevents their words and actions from penetrating your inner peace. The more you practice non-reaction, the stronger this shield becomes, and the less impact their toxic behavior will have on you. When someone attempts to provoke you, pause. Take a deep breath. Instead of reacting immediately, think to yourself, I do not need to engage in this. Remind yourself that their words and actions are a reflection of their own internal struggles, not a judgment of your worth. Then, say something neutral, something non-committal, such as, I hear what you're saying, or, I'll think about it. And then, walk away from the conversation. You do not owe them an emotional response, and you certainly do not owe them your peace of mind. Following the mastery of non-reaction, it's time to delve into one of the most effective and subtly powerful techniques for navigating toxic interactions: the gray rock method. This strategy represents a fundamental shift in your energy and engagement, transforming you into an uninteresting, unfulfilling target for manipulation. It's a game changer, particularly when dealing with individuals who thrive on chaos, drama, and the emotional reactions of others. Toxic people, at their core, are seeking attention, energy, and, most importantly, a reaction. They want to provoke you, to stir up conflict, and to bask in the emotional fallout. The gray rock method directly counters this by strategically depriving them of what they crave most. So, what does it mean to become a gray rock? Imagine a plain, unremarkable stone. It's bland, uninteresting, and easily overlooked. This is the persona you cultivate when interacting with a toxic individual. Every time they attempt to stir up drama, to provoke you with insults, accusations, or manipulative tactics, you respond with the dullest, most neutral response imaginable. They are expecting you to explode in anger, to burst into tears, to engage in a heated argument, or to desperately defend yourself. But instead, you remain calm, indifferent, and utterly uninterested in whatever chaos they are attempting to create. You give them nothing to work with, no emotional hooks to latch onto. You offer short, monosyllabic answers, avoid eye contact, and generally present yourself as being as boring and unengaging as possible. Why does this method work so effectively? Because toxic people feed off your energy. When you react emotionally, when you become upset, angry, or defensive, you are providing them with fuel, reinforcing their behavior and perpetuating the cycle of toxicity. But when you become a gray rock, emotionless, detached, and completely unfazed by their antics, they lose interest. They thrive on drama, and without it, they are left with nothing. They become bored, frustrated, and ultimately, they seek out a more rewarding target for their manipulations. Over time, they will either adjust their behavior, realizing that they are not getting the desired reaction, or they will simply move on to someone else who is more willing to feed their insatiable need for chaos. It's crucial to understand that the gray rock method is not about being passive or allowing them to walk all over you. It's about proactively protecting your peace of mind by refusing to engage in their manipulative games. You are not condoning their behavior, you are simply denying them access to your emotions, and that is the ultimate form of control. To effectively implement the gray rock method, you must cultivate a sense of emotional detachment. Practice observing their behavior without judgment or reaction. When they attempt to provoke you, remind yourself that their words and actions are a reflection of their own internal struggles, not a judgment of your worth. Focus on maintaining a calm, neutral demeanor, and avoid any temptation to engage in emotional arguments or defensive explanations. The next time someone attempts to suck you into their toxic drama, remember the image of the gray rock. Become as boring and uninteresting as possible, and you will be amazed at how quickly the dynamic shifts. Beyond the gray rock method, another invaluable technique for deflecting manipulation is the broken record technique. Toxic people are notoriously relentless. They rarely take no for an answer and will persistently pressure you until you eventually cave in, often employing guilt trips, emotional blackmail, or outright intimidation. Have you ever encountered someone who consistently attempts to manipulate you into doing something you clearly don't want to do? Perhaps it's a friend who invariably expects you to drop everything to assist them with their latest crisis, or a partner who repeatedly asks for something you have already refused, disregarding your boundaries and disregarding your stated needs. These individuals are akin to bulldozers, relentlessly pushing and pushing until you eventually yield, sacrificing your own well-being to appease their demands. This is where the broken record technique comes into play, offering a simple yet remarkably effective strategy for maintaining your boundaries and resisting manipulation. Here's how it works: instead of getting drawn into a lengthy argument, instead of attempting to justify your decision, and instead of engaging in emotional debate, you simply repeat your stance, calmly and consistently, over and over again, like a broken record. The key is to remain unwavering in your message, refusing to be swayed by their emotional tactics or their attempts to undermine your resolve. Imagine this scenario: someone asks you to do something unreasonable, something that violates your boundaries or compromises your well-being. Instead of launching into a lengthy explanation or attempting to justify your refusal, you calmly state, "I'm not comfortable with that." They push back, attempting to guilt-trip you or manipulate you into changing your mind. But you don't budge, you simply repeat, "I'm not comfortable with that." You maintain a neutral tone, avoiding any trace of emotion or defensiveness. You are simply stating your boundary, calmly and consistently, without offering any further explanation or justification. Eventually, they will realize that they cannot break through your wall of calm, unwavering repetition, and they will either give up or reveal their true colors, resorting to anger, insults, or other manipulative tactics. The broken record technique is particularly useful in close relationships, where the toxic person often feels entitled to your time, your energy, or your resources. They may believe that because you are close, they have the right to make unreasonable demands on you, disregarding your own needs and boundaries. The beauty of the broken record technique is that it avoids escalating the situation into a heated argument, while firmly reinforcing your boundaries. It prevents you from getting drawn into emotional debates or manipulative power struggles, allowing you to maintain your composure and assert your needs without compromising your peace of mind. Toxic people thrive on wearing you down, on exhausting your emotional reserves until you eventually succumb to their demands. But when you stand your ground with unwavering consistency, when you calmly and repeatedly assert your boundaries, they lose their grip. Remember, your boundaries are not negotiable, and you do not owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace of mind. Coupled with these proactive techniques, it's essential to address the crucial aspect of self-preservation, limiting exposure to toxic people. One of the toughest truths you will have to confront is that some people are simply detrimental to your well-being, regardless of how much you love them, how long you have known them, or how much history you share. They may bring nothing but negativity, drama, and emotional turmoil into your life, and the more time you spend with them, the more drained and unhappy you become. Toxic people are akin to emotional parasites, feeding off your energy, your kindness, and your attention, leaving you feeling depleted, exhausted, and questioning your own self-worth. While it may be tempting to try to fix them, to change their behavior, or to earn their approval, the reality is that this is often a futile endeavor that only serves to perpetuate the cycle of toxicity. Ultimately, you do not owe them anything, not your time, not your emotional energy, and definitely not your mental health. Sometimes, the most powerful and courageous move you can make is to limit your exposure to toxic people, to create distance between yourself and their corrosive influence. I understand that cutting ties or creating distance can feel incredibly difficult, especially if the person is a family member, a longtime friend, or someone you care about deeply. You may fear hurting their feelings, causing conflict, or being perceived as selfish or uncaring. But here's the uncomfortable reality: your well-being has to come first. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot effectively care for others if you are constantly depleted and emotionally exhausted. If someone consistently makes you feel small, stressed, anxious, or emotionally drained, it's time to prioritize your own well-being and put some distance between you and them. This does not mean you don't care about them, it simply means you care enough about yourself to protect your peace of mind. Limiting exposure can take many forms, depending on the nature of the relationship and the specific dynamics involved. It might mean seeing them less frequently, keeping conversations brief and superficial, or avoiding sensitive topics that tend to trigger toxic behavior. If it's a coworker, it could mean limiting interactions to strictly professional matters, avoiding personal conversations, and setting clear boundaries around your availability in workload. If it's a family member, it might mean setting strict boundaries around when and how you engage with them, limiting the duration of visits, and refusing to engage in emotional arguments or manipulative power struggles. You can still be polite and respectful while guarding your energy and protecting your mental health. Remember, your mental health is priceless, and toxic people are not entitled to take that from you. Hand in hand with limiting exposure to negativity, you must actively build your support system. One of the most insidious tactics employed by toxic people is isolating you from others. They may subtly, or not so subtly, undermine your other relationships, making you feel like they are the only ones you can truly rely on. They may criticize your friends, spread rumors about your family members, or create situations that drive a wedge between you and the people who genuinely care about you. Over time, they chip away at your confidence, making you doubt your own judgment and distancing you from the individuals who could offer you support and perspective. This is how they maintain control, feeding off your dependency and keeping you trapped in their toxic web. But here's a powerful truth: you do not have to navigate this alone. Building a strong and supportive network is one of the most effective ways to counter the influence of toxic people, to reclaim your independence, and to foster a sense of belonging and self-worth. Surround yourself with people who genuinely care about your well-being, who support your growth, and who respect your boundaries. These are the individuals who lift you up, who encourage you to pursue your dreams, and who make you feel valued and appreciated for who you truly are. Whether it's family members, friends, mentors, or a community of like-minded individuals, having a solid network of support will make all the difference in how you navigate toxic relationships. When you have people in your corner who believe in you, who validate your experiences, and who offer you unconditional support, it becomes much harder for toxic individuals to tear you down. Your support system should consist of people who encourage you to be the best version of yourself, those who challenge you to grow, but in a way that feels empowering, not draining. These are the friends who call you out when you're slipping, but do so with kindness and compassion, not judgment or criticism. They are the ones who respect your boundaries, support your decisions, and never make you feel guilty for choosing what's best for you. When you have a tribe of people who love and respect you, toxic people lose their grip, because they no longer hold the power of isolation over you. Remember, the stronger your support system, the weaker the toxic person's hold on your life. Find your people, lean on them, and let their positivity reinforce your own strength. Alongside fostering external support, you must also actively prioritize self-care. Toxic people are inherently exhausting. Whether it's their emotional manipulation, their constant criticism, their relentless negativity, or their insatiable need for attention, they have a unique ability to suck the life out of you, leaving you feeling depleted, overwhelmed, and emotionally numb. That's why self-care isn't just a luxury, it's a non-negotiable necessity, a fundamental requirement for maintaining your well-being and protecting yourself from the corrosive effects of toxic relationships. Think of self-care as your emotional armor, a protective shield that safeguards you from the constant barrage of negativity and manipulation. Without it, you are vulnerable to burnout, resentment, emotional exhaustion, and a host of other stress-related ailments. So, what does self-care truly look like when you're dealing with toxic people? It's not just about bubble baths and spa days, although those can certainly help. Real self-care is about making conscious choices that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's about setting boundaries, saying no without feeling guilty, and prioritizing your own needs, even when others are demanding your attention. It's about creating space for yourself to recharge, reflect, and recalibrate, to reconnect with your inner self and rediscover your passions. And most importantly, it's about recognizing that your needs are just as important, if not more important, than anyone else's. Here's a hard truth: toxic people will never prioritize your needs. They will always expect you to put them first, to sacrifice your time, your energy, and your well-being for their benefit. They may even make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own self-care, accusing you of being selfish, uncaring, or neglecting your responsibilities. But here's the key: you don't have to. You have the right to put yourself first, to take care of your mental health, and to refuse to let their negativity drain you. This might mean taking breaks from social interactions, practicing mindfulness or meditation, engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, or simply spending quiet time alone, reflecting on your thoughts and feelings. Self-care also means recognizing when you've had enough. If a toxic person is pushing you to your limit, if you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed or emotionally exhausted, it's okay to take a step back, create space, and focus on your own healing. Stoicism teaches us the importance of maintaining inner peace, and self-care is the foundation of that peace. When you prioritize your well-being, when you nurture your mind, body, and spirit, toxic people lose their ability to control you, because you're no longer dependent on their approval or validation. Beyond self-care, it's crucial to recognize that you cannot fix everyone. One of the hardest pills to swallow when dealing with toxic people is the realization that you are not responsible for their healing, that you cannot change their behavior, and that no matter how much you love them or how much effort you put in, you cannot fix them. Toxic people are often deeply entrenched in patterns of manipulation, blame-shifting, and control, because these patterns serve their needs, providing them with emotional validation, a sense of power, or simply a twisted sense of control over others. The more you try to fix them, the more enmeshed you become in their dysfunctional dynamics, and the more trapped you feel in a cycle of guilt, obligation, and emotional exhaustion. Have you ever attempted to help someone, only to realize that your efforts go unnoticed, unappreciated, or even actively rejected? Perhaps you've been in a relationship where your partner constantly made you feel like you weren't doing enough, no matter how much you bent over backward to please them. This is a common tactic employed by toxic people to trap you in a cycle of guilt and obligation. You are constantly trying to fix them, to earn their approval, to meet their ever-changing demands, but they never change, because deep down, they don't want to. Here's a wake-up call: you are not their savior. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. You are not responsible for their healing, and you cannot force them to change. Stoicism teaches us the importance of focusing on what we can control, and you cannot control other people. The only person you have control over is yourself, your own thoughts, your own actions, and your own responses to the world around you. When you stop trying to fix others and start focusing on fixing your own boundaries, your own reactions, and your own patterns of engagement with toxic people, you will find freedom. You will reclaim the energy you have been wasting on someone who never appreciated it in the first place, and you will create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to enter your life. The moment you realize that you don't have to fix toxic people is the moment you become free from their manipulation. It's not your job to fix broken people. You deserve relationships where you are valued, respected, and appreciated, not ones where your emotional labor goes unnoticed and unrewarded. Further empowering yourself requires embracing cognitive reframing. Toxic people possess an uncanny ability to make you feel like the villain in their story. They excel at twisting situations, manipulating facts, and shifting blame, often leaving you questioning your own sanity and wondering if you are, in fact, the source of all the problems. But here's the essential truth: it's not about you, it's about them. Their behavior is a reflection of their own insecurities, their own unresolved conflicts, and their own inability to take responsibility for their actions. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our perception of the world. This is where cognitive reframing becomes an incredibly powerful weapon, allowing you to challenge negative thought patterns, reframe situations in a more positive light, and ultimately, reclaim your emotional well-being. Let's say you're engaged in an argument with someone who constantly criticizes you, who picks apart every aspect of your personality and your actions. Instead of taking their words to heart, instead of internalizing their criticism and questioning your own worth, you can reframe the situation. You can recognize that their criticism isn't a reflection of your value as a person, it's a reflection of their own insecurities, their own fears, and their own need to feel superior. By shifting your perspective, by recognizing the true source of their negativity, you take away their power to hurt you. You begin to see their toxic behavior for what it truly is, a projection of their own inadequacies, not a valid assessment of your worth. Think about how often toxic people engage in gaslighting, a manipulative tactic designed to make you question your own reality, to doubt your memories, and to feel as though you are losing your mind. Cognitive reframing allows you to take a step back from these situations, to objectively assess what is happening, and to say, wait a minute, this isn't about me, this is their problem. They are attempting to distort reality to gain control, and I refuse to allow them to do so. When you mentally reframe their behavior as a reflection of them, not you, you regain your emotional strength, you stop internalizing their toxicity, and you are better equipped to protect yourself from their manipulative tactics. The next time a toxic person lashes out at you, before reacting, pause and ask yourself, is this really about me, or is this a reflection of their own internal struggles? 9 times out of 10, you will realize it's the latter. This mental shift is a game changer, allowing you to disengage from their drama, maintain your composure, and protect your peace of mind. Paradoxically, even amidst the need for boundaries and detachment, it's essential to practice forgiveness for your own peace. This may sound contradictory, especially after emphasizing the importance of limiting exposure to toxic people and protecting yourself from their negativity, but forgiveness is not about condoning their behavior or pretending that their actions never happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional baggage that comes with holding on to anger, resentment, and hatred. It's about releasing the toxic grip that they have on your mind and allowing yourself to move forward with peace and compassion. Here's the hard truth: when you hold on to anger, when you dwell on the wrongs that have been done to you, you are only hurting yourself. Think about it: while you are seething with anger over how someone wronged you, while you are replaying the same painful memories over and over again in your head, they have likely moved on with their life, completely unaffected by your anger. The anger you are holding on to isn't punishing them, it's punishing you. It's consuming your thoughts, clouding your judgment, and preventing you from experiencing joy and fulfillment. This is where Stoicism shines. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught that we must learn to forgive, not for the sake of others, but for the sake of our own inner peace. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or excusing someone's behavior, it means choosing to let go of the emotional grip they have on you. It means you're no longer letting their toxic actions define your mood, your happiness, or your life. It means you are choosing to release the burden of resentment and to reclaim your emotional freedom. Forgiveness is about reclaiming your power, about taking control of your own emotions, and about refusing to allow others to dictate your well-being. So, how do you put this into practice? Start small. Instead of jumping straight to forgiving someone for a major betrayal, practice forgiving minor offenses first. Let go of the small irritations, the rude comments, the dismissive attitudes, and see how much lighter you feel. Over time, this will build your emotional resilience and prepare you to forgive even the bigger hurts. And remember, you're doing this for you, not for them. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-care. When you let go of resentment, you free up mental space for peace, growth, and joy. Toxic people don't get to live rent-free in your head anymore, you're evicting them, starting today. Ultimately, despite all efforts at boundary setting, non-reaction, and forgiveness, there comes a crucial point, knowing when to walk away. This is perhaps the most powerful and liberating decision you can make, and it represents the ultimate act of self-respect. It doesn't matter how long you've known them, how close you've been, how much history you share, or how much you may still care for them. When someone continually disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your emotions, drains your energy, and consistently demonstrates a lack of willingness to change, you need to walk away. This is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength, a declaration that you value yourself enough to prioritize your own well-being over the demands of a toxic relationship. Toxic people will often try to convince you that you're the problem, that you're being too sensitive, that you're abandoning them, or that you're giving up too soon. They may use guilt trips, emotional blackmail, or outright threats to try to keep you tethered to them. But don't buy into their lies. The truth is, you have given enough of yourself. You have fought long and hard enough to try to save a relationship that is only draining you, and now it's time to choose yourself. Imagine being trapped in a toxic romantic relationship where your partner constantly undermines you, insults you, gaslights you, or makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. No amount of love or effort on your part will fix that. The healthiest thing you can do is walk away, to sever the ties that bind you to their negativity, and to create space for healthier, more loving relationships to enter your life. I understand that walking away is not easy. There will be guilt, sadness, fear of the unknown, and perhaps even a sense of failure. But nothing is worth sacrificing your mental and emotional health. Nothing is worth sacrificing your self-worth and your right to live a life of peace and fulfillment. Walking away is about reclaiming your life, about refusing to let toxic people continue to have power over you, and about making the bold decision to prioritize yourself and your well-being. This is your life, and you deserve to live it on your terms, free from the influence of those who seek to diminish you. You cannot achieve peace, happiness, and fulfillment while staying tethered to someone who constantly drags you down. The bottom line is this: you cannot heal in the same environment that's making you sick. If a relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or a family member, is consistently toxic, it's time to walk away. Not every relationship can be saved, and that's okay. Accepting this reality is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of self-awareness, a recognition that you deserve better. Walking away is not about giving up, it's about choosing to live your life on your terms, about creating space for healthier, more loving relationships to enter your life, and about prioritizing your own well-being above all else. You are not obligated to tolerate toxicity, no matter where it comes from. Walking away is not only an act of self-preservation, it's an act of courage. You're choosing your own well-being over someone else's dysfunction, and that's the greatest gift you can give yourself. To encapsulate the essence of this exploration, dealing with toxic people is undeniably one of the most difficult challenges you will face in life, but it is also one of the most empowering journeys you can undertake. By diligently applying these Stoic-inspired strategies, identifying toxic behavior, understanding that it's not personal, setting clear boundaries, mastering non-reaction, using the gray rock method, employing the broken record technique, limiting exposure, building a strong support system, prioritizing self-care, recognizing that you cannot fix everyone, using cognitive reframing, practicing forgiveness for your own peace, and ultimately, knowing when to walk away, you can effectively take back control of your emotional and mental well-being. Remember, you are not responsible for fixing toxic people, and you do not owe them your energy or your peace. You are responsible for yourself, and that is your greatest power. These principles will not only protect you from toxic people but will also help you grow into the best, strongest, most resilient version of yourself. You deserve relationships that nurture you, that support you, and that uplift you, not ones that drain you, that diminish you, and that leave you feeling emotionally depleted. You deserve peace, and with these strategies, peace is something you can achieve, no matter how toxic the people around you may be. Embrace these principles, embody these strategies, and embark on a journey of self-discovery, self-respect, and unwavering commitment to your own well-being. The path may be challenging, but the destination, a life of peace, joy, and authentic connection, is well worth the effort. The ability to navigate toxic relationships with grace, strength, and unwavering self-respect is not merely a skill, it is a superpower, a testament to your resilience, and a beacon guiding you toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. Let this knowledge empower you to create the life you deserve, a life where you are surrounded by people who value you, who support you, and who celebrate your inherent worth.